Hello, fellow humans. Katrina here, licensed professional counselor. I may be a clinician, but I am not your clinician. So, quick disclaimer, everything I'm about to say is purely for entertainment and educational purposes only, and should not be taken as any sort of advice or expert knowledge, because I am not an expert in the area that I'm about to speak on. And I advise you to consult the experts in your area, the medical professionals on your treatment team, and anyone else who knows more than I, because I am simply getting my sea legs in this thing called podcasting. All right, disclaimer over. No one can sue me. What I'm going to tell you about today is all of the things that I do not know about drugs. All right. There are lots of different types of drugs, and my understanding is that a drug is a mood-altering substance, okay? And so if a drug is a mood-altering substance, that can be any number of things, including but not limited to caffeine, sugar, alcohol, marijuana, MDMA, ecstasy, LSD, ayahuasca, psilocybin, ketamine. I could go on, but I won't. Drugs are there. Drugs are here, and drugs are there, and drugs are just about everywhere, kids. That is right. We start giving drugs to babies. At least that is my understanding. When a child has an ailment, a physician gives them the appropriate medication for that ailment, and then they get all better, therefore extending their lifespan and their existence on this current plane of existence in their body. So it is a good thing sometimes with responsible drug use to give drugs to children as soon as they're out of the womb. Or I don't know, maybe they do it prenatal. I don't really know that much about mommy stuff because I am child-free. And so I will move on to how I see drugs. A little bit about how I see drugs. It's like how I see fire. Fire is magical, right? At least in my opinion. And to me, I define magic as science that I do not yet understand. And so once upon a time, I had no idea that fire was simply chemicals coming together in a particular way with the right amount of friction to produce light and heat. It can be warm and wonderful and playful, harmless. It can burn your house down and kill your children, just like drugs. Drugs don't kill people. Nope. Drugs aren't bad. Drugs are simple. Drugs are inert, simple chemical compounds, no different than fire. Fire is not bad for burning and burning and burning as firefighters do their best to put out those uncontrollable wildfires. The fire is not the devil coming to get you. It is just a combination of various chemicals, genetics met with environment and just the right circumstances to produce those things that we call flames, which when they're in the nice, pretty gas fireplace, very comforting and warming. But let's say my candle falls over onto the table next to the newspaper, that would not be a great thing. So I'm going to shit on the past for a little bit. One of the things that I don't know that much about is addiction in mental health areas. I am a licensed professional counselor, but I specialize more in the mental health aspect of side, not so much the dual diagnosis or substance abuse side. So I really don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. This is the addictive personality, understanding the addictive process and compulsive behavior by Craig Nicken, forward by Damien McElrath. Oh, beautiful name. With one of those piled high and deep degrees. Over 200,000 copies sold. Wow, is that a lot of misinformation? I don't know what's accurate or what's not, but I can definitely tell you when it was copywritten. It was copywritten in 1988. I can tell you what else happened in 1988. That's when I came into this world. So this book was written the same year that I came into this world, probably a few years before. It takes a bit to get published, is my understanding. And then it was revised in 1996. Well, something that happened in between 1988 and 1996 was the internet. And the internet came out, I want to say in 1991. So when the internet came out in 1991, we got the birth of not just massive amounts of information, but massive amounts of misinformation. So I have no idea what kind of nonsense the internet was also spouting while people were trying to do legitimate research, trying to figure out how to help people. So we got the wishy-washy of everything, confusing everyone. And then this guy has, oh goodness, he has the weirdest things. There's an entire chart on a normal person. I don't know all of what it entails, but I find it at this time unnecessary. And so I will move on to something else that I thought would be fun to share. And there is a quote by Martin Luther King. Ah, very, very smart man. Rest in peace. He said, "No lie can live forever." I'll say that again. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "No lie can live forever." And that man was quoted by another super smart man. So there's just super smart men and women and non-binary that I read about or read from or listen to audiobooks. Happen to have this one hard copy, and my dog got a hold of it. So it's kind of been eaten up and put back together. And this is called Drug Use for Grown-Ups, Chasing Liberty in the Land of Fear by Dr. Carl L. Hart. And if memory serves, this man is a open heroin user and a professor, PhD, the piled high and deep kind at the prestigious University of Columbia. That's right. This man is in the system, knows the addiction stuff, was on the bandwagon, his words, and then he understood when he learned more. When he learned what drugs actually are and that we can use them responsibly. And so I think that book is really worth checking out if you want to educate yourself on drugs in a way that they never taught us in school, or at least that was not my experience. The drug information that I got was DARE, that DARE program, which was like, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad, blah, blah, blah. And that's actually not what got me to not do drugs. The thing that got me to not do drugs when I was in high school was a wonderful biology teacher. Thank you, Mrs. Lady at Linear, whose name escapes me. But I remember the explanation of neurotransmitters being enough to terrify my little analytical mind to say, I don't want my brain chemistry altered like that. And so we move on to a more common drug these days, and that is cannabis. Cannabis, sativa, is something that is way, 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 way back in history, something that just grows. And now they've got it growing with all these grow lights, and there are growers. There are whole organizations. I've never grown marijuana. I have no desire to at this time. But it's my understanding that marijuana comes from the ground, as do many drugs, coca included. And cannabis stuff that I'm aware of is THC versus CBD, okay? THC is the one that gets you lifted, whereas the CBD is all of the benefits of the anti-inflammatory effects on the endocannabinoid system minus the psychoactive effects. So there's not so much of, some folks get cloudy headed or reduced cognitive functioning when they're lifted, or some people simply do not want to be high all the time. And so CBD is a really good product in terms of being able to utilize both the more intelligent side of the mind as well as the creative side and everything else. And so the THC and CBD to me is a matter of preference, time, setting, dosage. Discuss it with your doctor. The other thing that I don't really know about is the strains. Indica versus sativa, okay? Indica couch. That is what a man told me when I walked into a dispensary for the very first time and said, hey, what's the difference? They said, indica couch, and the sativa is the other one. And sativa, in my understanding, is the one that's more energetic, gets you giggly and happy and ready to do whatever. And then the indica is just the calming, relaxing. I'm going to go ahead and eat that food that would be possible to eat and good to have eaten. So that's how it's helpful in increasing the appetite and getting you able to do the things that you're wanting to do, whether it be self-care, resting type of thing, or there are even some folks who then engage in exercise after their use of the cannabis medication. And so there are also issues with dosing because it is still federally illegal. Then there aren't as many studies being done on this particular drug. So we do not know a lot of things. We do not know if this hurts prenatally. We do not know if this hurts under like a lot of minor, I don't know. Like there are studies and there is anecdotal evidences this way and that, but I don't know what to tell you except that the Surgeon General says, if you're pregnant, just don't. I think that's what the Surgeon General says. If you're pregnant, just don't on the weed and the alcohol and the cigarettes, just don't. But the reason that a 8-month pregnant woman cannot be denied service at a bar is, my understanding, because of genetics. There are plenty of fetal alcohol syndrome babies that show how alcohol can affect a child in the womb. And yet there were many copious alcohol drinkers that had people who were perfectly normal babies. And so that genetics thing is real weird. Like, why does one person have lots of horrible things happen with one drug and other people have nothing horrible happen at all with lots of that same drug? It doesn't make any sense at all how somebody can smoke cigarettes till they're 98 years old and still pass a pulmonary function test as if they were 19. And yet somebody who is 10 years into smoking might develop lung cancer because they had the right combination of genetics met with environment. And I ascribe to more of the biopsychosocial factor of everything coming together in just the right way to produce the things that distress us in each and every moment in time. And with that, I'll recommend this book by one of the piled high and deep ones, Dr. Regina Nelson, president of the ECS Therapy Center, a national nonprofit organization. She wrote the Survivor's Guide to Medical Cannabis. And I would say it is a very good guide in terms of providing the most accurate information of what's available at the time. And I am such a fan that I got her to sign it. It says my name and it's in her handwriting. And we ascribe meaning to things like that, don't we? Silly humans. And there is actually a page in here that is a therapy plan, a cannabis therapy plan that is a step-by-step guide on page 241 and 242 that actually has you do your own experimentation on dosing. Most doctors recommend start low. If you're doing edibles, start low. If you're doing flowers, start low, whatever, low, because you can always take more, but you cannot take less. So be a turtle, be a turtle, slow and steady runs the race. So what I've basically told you is all the things that I don't know from my perspective, having not been a drug counselor, not taken any substance abuse courses lately. I did take some continuing education substance abuse classes a while back, but I mean a while back. I just keep up with my ethics, and then I just do whatever continuing education I like. We just do 20 hours a year, and that's cool. I do more than that because it's fun. So I don't know about addiction or drugs much, but I do know that we can learn. We can keep learning. We can keep asking questions. So there's no such thing as a stupid question. There's no such thing as common sense. And I do not think that anyone should have known anything any differently than we did at each and every moment in time. Because we did, in my professional opinion, we did our best at each and every moment in time with the information that we had at the time. And that's it. Sounds simple. Yeah, easier said than done. So with that, I'll say I do truly hope that everyone's mind this week entertains only the things that have value. And what I mean by that are things that are both possible to do and good to have done. And if that's true, why the fuck not do it right now? All right, later.